back. It's back. I was going to take advantage of this to, like, blow my nose, and, but the reconnect was so fast. So I think today, like, whenever we reconnect, I'll just try to go blow my nose, and then it'll connect super fast. But to reiterate, Sagebrush, are you here? I hope you're here. Essentially what happens is over time, if your paint sits around, and this is why I tell you always shake your MSPs. Every 1 to 3 years, you must shake your MSPs. If you do, they will stay good for a very, very long time. If you don't shake them, though, what happens is it's not drying out. It's actually settling out. So all the resins that are essentially what makes the paint cure and harden and dry out, and stay on your mini, holds the pigment in suspension. All those resins are heavier than water. And so over time, they sink. And if they sink and stay for long enough, as they sink, they're squeezing those molecules of water out from between the layers of the sediment. And when they completely get all the water out of that, you've got a latex plug. And you can still have fluid in the bottle and still have a latex plug in the bottom that seems dried. That's because it's not a drying factor. It's not a drying function. It's cool, Penreg. Just let me answer this, though. So essentially, if you poke it, and it's kind of flexible, but you can't actually put a brush into it or a toothpick into it. Or if you do put a toothpick into it, it's just not fluid at all. You can't push it around. You can't stir it. It'll maybe rip or tear. You're plugged. It's gone. Throw it out. There's no bringing it back. Good, Shadow Raven. Yes, I sent it. I almost forgot, but then I was like, no, Shadow Raven, and so I ran to the computer before I took my power nap and remembered to send it to you. So yeah, I hope you get a good start on it. I got a good start on I should show you guys. It is like my proof copy is like a forest of sticky notes just poking out the top. Also, I discovered I have no red pens. Like, all the red pens in our drawers were too old and didn't work. So now I need to order some red pens because I really would be using red on this. I used blue instead because I had to use something. Paint shakers they're good. They'll spare you, but your paint needs to be somewhat fluid before it works very well, in my experience. So it's good for shaking up like new paints that maybe just need a good shaking to put them in solution. But little tiny paint shakers are not like the same as like they're not as good as the big ones. So yeah. Morning, Daffodweir. Morning. So yeah, go ahead, Penrick, with the news about the factory. I haven't, like I said, I've had too much on my plate to even think about following it. So hey, I hit F4. Yeah, there, good. And I did order a new microphone yesterday, folks. So if we get squealies today, then be assured I have taken steps. But yes, so that's all things. I feel like I've been overloaded this week because I took that strategic strengths intensive, and it's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of video watching. Really? See, I'm really a Pilot fan. I really am. I like the G2. And I'll be using them pretty fast for writing stuff, so. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Bic, for not drying up and stuff, I can see how Bic is the thing. But yeah, I do like the Pilot a lot. But when I go to Amazon, I just type this in, so. Pilot G2 Red. I'm sure they make them. Yeah. Yeah, because I like gel rollers or liquid ink. One or the other, if I can take them. I do not need a bold one. Ooh, these are very high. These are like a 4.8 stars. Ooh, Pilot G2. I could just order the really cheap. I only need a couple. Yeah, 4.8 stars. So apparently people other than me like the Pilot G2. Yeah, if the paint's not really fluid, even if it's like a bit thick, yeah, it can have minimal. Yeah, I have pretty good luck with the Pilot pens, honestly. Like, they seem to last for quite a while. Obviously not for years and years, which is, unfortunately, these have been sitting in the pen drawer, the junk drawer, right? For probably years, probably 7 or 8 years. Any pen at that point, I'm like, Ace Layer. Alrighty, let's get our colors mixed up here. I need my Gnomelet Flesh. Gnomelet Flesh. And we had switched to Wild Violet because I was interested in trying that more than the Runic Purple. So here we go. And we are going to be adding some white and yellow to that Gnome Flesh to bring it up. Usually I would reach for, I could use yellow mold today. It's out. It's an old throwback color. It is a perfectly feasible, it's a cold yellow. Perfectly feasible for highlighting skin. Your choice, I mean, you won't see much difference in highlights between a cold yellow and a warm yellow. The nice thing about yellow mold is that it is kind of similar to lemon, but it's just a little bit, if you don't want quite as much yellow, like I would say yellow mold would be a great highlight for lemon. So maybe I'll use this today. We're using all the paints we don't normally use: Gnome Flesh, Wild Violet, and yellow mold. 2 bones and 1 Kickstarter. But yeah, once paint latexes, and this is, by the way, why having paint get frozen is essentially a death knell for your paint. It's the same thing, except the thing that is, in that case, the thing that is squeezing out the water from between the layers of the resin is the fact that the water is becoming like ice, right? It's like essentially crystallizing. So essentially as the water freezes much faster than the resin, so as the water, like, essentially it just freezes and it keeps freezing and it pushes the resin down, down, down out of solution. So it's weird because it's not time and weight that pushes the resin down. It's actually the water just like freeze, and the resin is pushed out of solution as the water freezes. And that's why you just can't get it back together. There's no way to resurrect this stuff. And honestly, paint is still inexpensive enough that you shouldn't try. But do make a note to freeze your paint, or not to freeze your paint. Haha, nope, don't freeze your paint. Do make a note to shake your paint. You don't have to do it all the time, but I'd say every 1 to 3 years. 3 years at the outside. Will it still be okay 5 years later? Probably. It's MSP. If it's not MSP, no bets. Like I said, our resin is a little bit lighter weight. We use a finer resin. We use one that has greater adhesion, and it doesn't fall out of solution as readily. And so that is why our paint has actually a really good lifespan, even if you haven't shaken it. But I wouldn't take the chance if you really want your paint to stay good. All right, let's mix up some colors. I'm going to do 4 drops of Gnome. Then I'm going to do another 4 drops of Gnome. Then I'm going to do 3 drops of Gnome. And now we're going to add our other colors to this stuff. So we've got our Gnome. 3 gnomes walk into a bar. But yes, I got about 1/4 of the way through my book yesterday on top of all the other stuff I had to do. We'll do 1 drop of Wild Violet. We'll do 2 drops of the Mold Yellow. And we will get it in focus in a moment. And then we'll mix those up and see how we are. Let's add a little bit of water. 1 drop for shadows for now. 1 drop. 2 drop for highlights. I might actually put an extra drop in the shadow, because I might end up putting another drop of Wild Violet in there if it didn't shift it enough. Yeah, I use the black ones all the time. I usually get a mixed pack of black and blue because I can get them inexpensively, Pendrag, but I really like them. I like the 0.38 really micro tip ones, and I like the 0.7, 0.07, or 0.7, sorry. Alrighty, so let's see how purple this takes it. Not purple enough. It's my official thing. Bloop. Yeah. Alrighty, and then probably gonna have to load one more drop in, but this is really nice. Actually, this yellow mold is bringing up this color very nicely. Even though it seems like this is a step. So, okay, so talking about layering and the layering video that I just put out free on my YouTube, this is the kind of transition where you could keep your paint thicker. You can see the difference, but they're very close together. And so if you were going to keep your paint thicker for layering, then that's how little of a difference you want. It's maybe one step. It's maybe not even one step on the grayscale palette. Hey, Bull! 47 months. One more month to the song. One more month and then you get a song. And then Kiki comes running in and goes jumping on Mommy because, oh my God, Mommy's singing. Yeah, it's school supplies time. You know it's true, Queenie. Kiki will totally hear Mommy singing and come and jump on me. Kiki likes my songs as much as Small Scottish Cat likes my songs. But Small Scottish Cat cannot run up and jump on me when I sing them. If Small Scottish Cat started doing so, I be like, teleportation across continents is pretty impressive, Small Scottish Cat. I'm sure that that he would if he could. Oh, somebody was summoned. Somebody was summoned. Are you summoned? I thought you were napping. Are you going to come in and say hi to stream? Come in and say hi to stream. Yeah, I won't even make you get up on my leg. I'll just have you be the main character. Kiki is the main character. Kiki says hello, everybody. Hello. Yes, the Keekers. And I'm rinsing my brush so her ears are like, what's that, Mama? What's that? What's that, huh? Oh, yeah, good girl. It's brush. Yep, it's a brush. Yes, it's the Kiki. Yeah, is it? Good girl. Good girl. Whoop. There's the ears. Good girl. All right, Bubba, now I have to work. Can you get off? Good girl. Yay. That's my geeks. That's my geeks. Okay, geeks. I get back and paint some things. Paint some things. Good girl. You are a good girl. Can you settle? You've got your bully somewhere out there. All right. Yeah, good thought on the school supplies. It would be nice to get new pens. All right, yawning a little bit. Not really tired today. I actually feel like I woke up in the right part of my sleep cycle, but I had trouble getting to sleep last night. I find that that's the one thing about CrossFit is that it gets me so amped up that I actually do have trouble sleeping sometimes after CrossFit. Because I go to bed, around like 3 hours. 3 hours after CrossFit is done, I'm in bed, and for some reason my body's decided like it's just still too amped up to sleep. All right. So let's put on a layer of this highlight and see really how it looks. Oh, I was gonna, yeah, okay. So I shoved it a little bit lighter. So now you can see the difference, right? Before it was very close, now you can see a significant difference. This is a very nice, pleasing, like succession of colors. You're going from purple to orange to a yellow orange. So the fact that these are close to complementary is definitely helping us. Yeah, you gotta watch out for those shipping charges. Yeah, that's the earliest. 9:30 is the earliest I'll let myself go to bed. But if I'm like really just have exhausted myself or I'm getting sick or something, Quindy, 9:30 is definitely a bedtime that I've done. So this mermaid does have make sure we're in focus. She actually does have eyebrows sculpted onto her, so I'm seeing them right there. There's a little ridge. So I'll be putting my highlight above that. And I'll mostly be focusing on this side of her forehead because this side has a lot of hair and it's going to cast a shadow. So I'm going to leave a little bit of the darker skin tone over here. Maybe she was tired too. Kiki doesn't mind it if I go to bed early, as long as I get up earlier then. Which is usually what I do on the road with her. But this time, actually, I have to put that down. Order a new dog pen. Order new dog pen. There we go. Sweet. Yeah, but totally gonna did that. There we go. Excellent. But yeah, I need to order a new pen for Kiki that I can bring on the road for bedtime pen, because I'm just done. I'm done with wrestling her at night. I'm done with her jumping on the bed to wake me up too early. Can't do it. Now, especially not if I'm driving. I need my energy to be up, because otherwise I get really tired. So I need shadows on either side of the nose. I realize that when I highlight my nose and it doesn't bring enough detail out. Yeah, my schedule is set enough because my schedule runs off of David's. Like, if I was an alone Anne, if I was, like, just myself, then, yeah, I could maybe mess with my schedule more. But if I stay up too late, I suffer for it, because my body is like, okay, it's 7:30, time to get up. Or 8, you know, at latest. Though if it's 8 and I'm getting up, that's way too late. So I put in a bit of the purple shadow on either side of the nose, and that helps to bring it out. You can see how that helps to bring that detail out more. I think I'm going to throw another drop of purple into here, though. I want to take it a little bit more shadowed. Yeah, my Kathy, I think, is going to end up going to Reaper, because Ron doesn't actually have a painted version. I checked with him. All right, so I brought this, and honestly, there's enough pigment in the gnome skin that it's a very slow process dragging this down to be a bit darker, but I'm also thinning it, and so that's going to impact. But I want the nose to come out, so when you've got a model, this model is larger than a standard 28. Ugh, yuck. Yeah, I can do that, Quiddy, but then I have to go to bed early. Like, I am fully capable of, like, doing that schedule if I have to. I don't enjoy it. Like, my ideal schedule is the one where I go to bed at, like, 10:45. I'm to sleep by 11 and get up at, like, 7:30-ish, 7:45. That way, because I'm up a couple times during the night usually, and that way I get a full, like, almost 8 hours of sleep, counting my awake times. I think I'm going to do a bit of the purple on her lower lip too. But I feel like this isn't quite dark enough, so I'm going to actually be making, I think I'm going to mix up some Wild Violet straight up. Like, it's dark enough to bring the nose out, but it's not dark enough to do the lip or anything. So I'm going to mix up my Wild Violet and also a Wild Violet plus Brown Liner mixture. It started out being Runic Purple, but now it's Wild Violet. Slayer, which is one of the Kickstarter colors. I made my last batch of colors that I ever made for Reaper. Was the Orchid Purple, Wild Violet, Leaf Bud Green. James will not be at ReaperCon. Okay. I'm not surprised. When you've traveled all these cons with your significant other and then you lose your significant other, like, all the memories are hard enough without adding to it. Plus, honestly, some people just prefer to grieve somewhat privately. And putting yourself out there at the con and knowing that people will come up to you and say how sorry they were, like, some people just, like, for me, that's an emotional overload, and I wouldn't subject myself to it. Not the first year, anyway. So, respect to James. We'll miss him. But I totally get it. Yeah. Once I'm in bed, I tend to fall asleep pretty fast, except after CrossFit. Like last night, I tossed and turned for a half an hour before I got to sleep. But usually I'm asleep within 10-15 minutes. Because I really make an effort not to put myself to bed unless I'm going to sleep. So my body is in the habit of falling asleep when I am in bed. All right, so I'm going to mix up this Wild Violet. I'm mixing up a thin version of Wild Violet and the Wild Violet with the brown liner, which is almost, it's not because it's too dark, but it could easily be a drown nipple pink color. This would actually be a great shader for drown nipple pink, so if you tend to use DNP, make a note. Wild Violet plus brown liner, and this would be a perfect shader for it. So if I was going to make a triad, if I were still at Reaper doing paint, that might be where I'd go. Okay, so now I've got some Wild Violet Pure, which I think is going to work better on this lower lip if I build it up a bit. I did thin it rather a lot. Yeah. Yep, logistics and travel time. Well, yeah, he loses a lot of work time when he goes to conventions. That's true for all of us who are freelancers. And also if he has pets, if they have pets, you know, that kind of thing. That's my logistic. But yeah, no, it's okay. We'll miss James. Rain machine, yep. Yeah, I like my, I take my white noise generator on the road. Although this time, since I've got the car and no David, I'll probably actually take our small fan so that I have a fan in the room. And Kiki's used to that too. So a little bit of a shadow underneath that lower lip is going to bring that out. I'm going to grab some of that violet plus a little bit of that brown liner violet. I'm going to shade under the nose a little bit more. She's got a really pug nose, but just an upturned nose. I'd argue with that a little. I've fallen asleep right away when I'm just genuinely really tired. And I do power naps where I fall asleep, usually within 5 minutes. But again, I've like gotten in the habit of when I am in bed, it means I am going to sleep. And if I don't get to sleep with my power nap, I just get up again in 10-15 minutes. I can tell if I'm not going to sleep, so that I retain my training. So that face is starting to look better now. We use it for the noise more than anything, the white noise. I used to have them blowing directly on Kiki, but she seems to prefer it not these days, but we still like the noise, so the white noise still. And in hotel rooms with her, I need something because the white noise machine is okay, but it's not quite enough to block sounds outside the door. She will bark if she hears somebody walking outside of our door. So, and of course we can't have that at 2 in the morning. Though usually it's more like 10 or 11 at night or 6 in the morning. Like when there are people around us who get up really early in the morning, in hotels, and that's what really is the, oh my God, no, because for every person that gets up at 6 a.m. and starts to pack up their car to go, there's the other person on the other side of you who needs to get their beauty sleep and needs to sleep until like 9. And you like do not want your dog going off at 6:30 a.m. for those people. I mean, it's too late for them to really evict you, but still. Yeah, the tip on this Winsor Newton is definitely not holding up to the standard that I would ask it to. Where is my Da Vinci? So I could go down to that. There we go. Yeah, it's just got, I think it must be the shape of the brush. Let me see if I can see a difference when I'm just noticing a difference when I go in. Yeah, there's definitely a difference. Like, I'm just looking at these, and it's like, the one on the left is and it's got to be brush shape. So the one on the left is the Winsor Newton, and it's just not quite holding up as neatly as I need it to. Oh, yuck, Wendy. Oh yeah, then you've got something going on. If you're like tired but you get plenty of sleep but you're still exhausted, yeah, then you've got something else going on for sure. Always keeping in mind that throughout the day you'll have different cycles, right? So I'm going to get the little nostrils, get the tip of her nose. I'll probably add, I'm going to pink her out a bit since she's been drinking. I'm probably going to make her nose tip pink. But I'm not messing with that quite yet. So let's get this tag out of here because it's keeping us from seeing the model. We got to get that upper eyelid because it's so well sculpted. Her lower eyelids are also sculpted, but unless you want her to look older, which is, cool if you want to, you don't want to accentuate the lower eyelid. Most young people, they really don't have a lot of emphasis there. They exist, but you don't really see them until you get older, get the bags under your eyes. Then, or if you have a big smile on, then you've usually can see the lower lids, but otherwise it can age a face very, very easily. Pink Club, yay, Agent Marvel. That sounds great. Have fun. I won't see you on my stream then. I will be streaming Orc. Streaming comic book Orc. I think, yes, I think it will. I don't know. I probably should be editing my book, but I may want a break by then. So we'll be working on this dude and getting him more. I need to work on refining the face a lot. I need to bring up highlights. There's a lot. This is just like a base coat and a lot. I've got a lot to do. There's things I definitely don't like about it and things I do like about it, and so it'll be a lot of work. A lot of work figuring it out. Pair of sample brushes, 01. Slayer, sometimes the brush just isn't made that great, or it's got a flaw in its making. I would, if it's honestly new, I would think about returning it. Because it shouldn't split. Because yeah, when you load it up and unload it nicely, it should hold its point. Now, if it just wants to split after you've been painting with it for a little while, maybe it just likes to have more paint in the brush. Yeah. Yeah, that would say a construction issue to me. If it's new, you should still be able to return it. Most companies and like Dick Blick and even Reaper, we have 100% satisfaction policy. And Amazon, even if you get them off Amazon, they'll take a brush return. Most of the time, they'll just tell you to keep the old brush and they'll send you a new one. You need to. One thing you always want to remember, and I was always bad about this until David called me out on it repeatedly, but remember to bring your highlight right up next to the nose, on right below the eye, on the right up to into this area. We tend to like concentrate the cheekbone, and we don't bring this highlight up right up here, but we do actually get light right up there. So if you do that, your face looks better typically. And you do want to get those upper eyelids. I'm trying to like readjust my seating today. Abused my body last night, doing the precursor to pull-ups, and also a lot of like squat weightlifting. So I'm like trying to adjust for my aches and pains. Mostly aches. But it's good that we were working on pull-ups because apparently they don't do it very often. And that's my goal with CrossFit, is I want to be able to do a full pull-up, which I've never been able to do in my life, even when I was a kid. Although I could almost do one, almost but not quite, with the band, which are giant rubber bands that you stand in, and they help you. But the rubber band was not enough. Not enough for me to do a full pull-up, so I'll have to work on it. Someday. So my trainers were out for a week because they went to watch the CrossFit Games, which is pretty much like the Olympics of CrossFit. There we go. Don't forget your two little highlights down here on either side of the lower lip. There's a little muscle pouch there, and it's definitely in use when the model is smiling, but it's still there. And it helps to define that lower lip at the scale also. So don't forget those two little highlights. You really need them. I have never been able to do them Shadow Raven. When I was a kid, I was just too weak, and then when I did get to the point where I could actually have the upper body strength, I weighed too much. So I had kind of decided, because I always wanted to be able to do one. So when I started CrossFit, I decided that was my eventual goal. So I want to be able to do one real pull-up. I want to show you guys. This is crazy. So there was a 17-year-old girl who won the CrossFit Games Championship. And she is, oh my God, is she ripped. I wish. It's impressive. She pressed 175 pounds. That was like mature women can't do that. Oh, the CrossFit. Here, let me find a picture. But seriously, this is physique I always wanted. Where is she? There we go. Yeah, like she is sincerely ripped. 17 years old, weightlifting, 175 pounds over her head in one go. And when she's not all like, you know, like totally exerting herself, she's not like, you know, you wouldn't notice her like if you just met her. But wow, what a physique. Like, wow. It is exceedingly rare that you see abs on a woman. Exceedingly rare. And, like, I always wished that I could just kind of see a hint. Like, are you there, abs? It's me, Anne. But, like, if I could have, honestly, if I could have any physique, that's the physique I would want. Like, I always kind of wanted to be, like, kind of wanted to get there. It would be ironic if I managed to get there, like, by the time I'm 60. But yeah, she's in such good shape. Yeah, so she won, I think, I think she was one of, like, the woman's part of the CrossFit. Is pretty cool. But yeah, so she's, like, it's just really great. Mal O'Brien is her name. Yeah, like, wow. Yes, if you can put your hands on the floor without bending your knees, you're ahead of me and are after a bunch of flexibility work throughout the day, then I can do that. But I can't do it like out of bed, no way. But if I work on my flexibility throughout the day and I stretch my hamstrings, then I can do it. But yeah, it takes stretchy time for sure. She's in such good shape. Like seriously, that I realized the other day that like the whole like vision board thing, which I was kind of like, you know, kind of roll my eyes at. But I really need to like look up photos of women who are fit and my age, because they do inspire me. They actually do. Like I see that and I'm like, you know what? If they could do it, I could get there. So. So now I'm trimming up shadows around the face. Meeting time. Bye, Crowley. Yeah, Thormel. That's funny. She could carry all your heavy gear. Yeah, no, seriously, she's insane. Yeah, the overhead. Yeah, the overhead. Yeah. Hang from the bars and use your hands to go from bar to bar. Yeah. I used to like doing that when I was a tiny kid on the jungle gym, but I have been practicing hanging from the bar. Like ever since we did bar muscle ups, every time I go to CrossFit, I'll hang from the bar and I'll practice kind of the swinging back and forth. You start the motion with your shoulder blades by pulling them together, and then you arc your body. It's the start to getting yourself in the correct, like, to working up your muscles that way. And I need to learn to like to be there with my weight hanging from the bar without my hands just giving out. So that's great, Quindy. Yeah. Oh, you have T-Rex arms like me. Hello, fellow T-Rex. All right. I got some smudgies here on the side of her face. I'm going to clean those up with my base coat and my shader. It's easy when you're lining around the face to get that kind of thing. But a little bit of a couple coats of touch-up will fix it. So we're trying to get, you can see the highlights really coming up now. Oh, that's funny, Fendrick. Oh, wow. That's got to be good for some. What sport is that good for? That's got to be good for a sport. Like, you know how they always talk about all the different body proportions that are good for things like swimming. I think I've got the right proportions for weightlifting, so I think I've gotten to the right world for me. Basketball. Yeah, that's right. That would be a basketball thing, wouldn't it? That's probably a weightlifting thing too, do you think, Shadow Raven? Although swimming too, maybe. Weightlifting, rope pulling, and badassery. Yeah. I'm up for some badassery. The difference between like high school Anne and today's Anne is that in high school I always envied the girls who were fit and kind of muscly, but I never thought that I could get there. Whereas today I envy them and I think I can get there. Maybe I'm just more delusional today. And halfage is very important, yes. All of you is short. Short for basketball. You don't have the height, you just have the proportions, right, Agent? All right, so I'm going to trim up a little bit under this one eye because I've made it a little wide. And I honestly will spend this much time on a face I want to turn out, guys. Like, I'm not just going slow because y'all are watching. I'm actually spending this time because this is the amount of time I would spend on doing a good face. And the face on this model is really important because she's got a great expression. She's got great features. Christine put a lot of time into it. And it carries the model. So you want that expression. You want to nail it. So I will spend a lot of time refining and making sure that the model looks good and I've got the highlights in the right places. I'm going to put a little bit more water in my base coat because I want to blend in that cheek shadow a little bit more. That's funny, Pendrake. Need taller shoes, Quindy. There was one, oh, I've got a set of kind of sandals, like dressy sandals that are pumps. And when I put them on, David's like, he's like, he looks down at the floor to see what I'm wearing because I'm much closer to his height at that point, and it just throws him off. It's funny. I'm not. He's still taller than me, but he's just used to me being the short. Oh yeah, helps with playing the piano. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I like the weightlifting, but I'm still doing really light weights because I need the form practice. Like I need to know how to safely lift the weight above my head. I feel like I've been making some good progress with that. I have no like urge to get like, like insane about it, but I do want to be fit. And so if Kiki, I definitely need practice with lifting things and to build up my back and my core, because if Kiki ever needs me to carry her somewhere, I want to be able to do it if something happens. I do it for the doglet. It's all for the doglet, folks. Well, and because I want to look sexy. I mean, who wouldn't really? Ah. A lot of platform boots. Yep, yep. Afraid of heights. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't mean so much you, Shadow Raven. It's just that I remember that like that long torso tends to be a swimming trait. Like good swimmers have a long torso and arms. So we've got that. We're coming up on that. Bringing up the chest now. Need to blend this a little bit more. But yeah, skin tones are important to me, and I really love painting them, so I will spend time absolutely spend time trying to get them where I'm very happy with them. And it's worth it. It's worth it on the skin tones. We always joked when we were selling on eBay, because eBay was the platform of choice for painted minis for a while. But we always joked that if you put like an hour of extra time just into the face and skin tones, you could sell the model for like $30 or $40 more. It's like the rest of the model would be like real basic, but the skin tones would be amazing and people would pay money for it. I'm liking the face so far. I need more purple shadows down here on the neck, though. Today I have my coaching call with my Clifton Strengths strategic thing. Looking forward to that. Also, Kiki's dog walker is coming today, CJ, so that she can remember who he is when he comes to puppy sit her. I'll probably have him come another day. I'll probably have him come in September. That way she has like him once a month and she totally gets to know him. I'll just check with him on his schedule before he leaves today. But yeah, he's a nice guy. Should be fun. I'm going to just let him go with Kiki all by his lonesome. And of course, school just started, so it may be a little more challenging than he had last time with her. Yeah. How have you not drowned yet? I got it. I got it. All right, so I put that purple shadow in on the neck. You can see it there. I'm going to de-emphasize it toward the bottom once it dries by layering over it a little. Yeah, when I was in school, it was fashionable, like, to look at building muscle as, like, an oh no if you were a woman. Like, you know, oh no, I don't want to bulk out, you know. Oh, God forbid you bulk out. But now I'm actually, like, I want to build muscle, so I'm happy for my physiology. Do a reline on the hair there. So you see how the lining is really making the skin tone stand out, the dark shading around everything. Kiki has gone from being like curious about kids to being like kids are my new favorite thing, playmates. Because when we were in Seattle, David's parents are good friends with their next door neighbors, and their next door neighbors are younger and have a little girl who's maybe, I want to say she's like 3 or 4. And oh my God, this was the most fascinating thing Kiki ever saw. Like she went from kids are interesting and I want to sniff and lick them because they have yummy treats to kids are my new favorite playmate. But that's not good because some kids, like, they see a big dog like Kiki coming at them and they're like, you know, they're like, ee! And Kiki thinks that's a play. That's a play thing. So she will try to get to kids. She really, really wants to play with them. And if they are running and if they have a ball, oh my God, it's on. So yeah, she's a little hard to control around kids. But yeah, because so many kids are leery of a big dog like that, we have to be, I always try to control the interaction. And even if the kid is okay, sometimes the parent's not okay. Alrighty. Now we've got a little bit of the belly down here and the rib cage. And even though the rib cage and belly aren't like really sharp, I'm still going to highlight them with more emphasis because I can do paint plastic surgery to essentially introduce those details a little bit more. So like I do see the rib cage here and the upper muscle here, but it's more flat on the other side. But I'm gonna paint it as if it's not flat. Oh yeah, she's a big dog. I mean, 73 pounds is still a big dog. Not for a Shiloh, but for any other dog, it's a big dog. And there are a lot of people in our neighborhood who are kind of scared of dogs, big dogs. So usually watch the person's body language. But most often I'll just take her off of the main sidewalk or area, and I'll make her sit and wait while people pass us and stuff like that. But she's a pretty good girl about that. She's learned she must give way to baby carriages and walkers. And she gets a treat for it, so a little bit of shading introduced there. I'm going to put some nice purple shadows back here. We can see how the arm is shading this area, so that gives us an opportunity to play with our purple. So I'm going to put in the mixture purple first between the skin tone and the violet, because that's going to set us up for a blend. You can see that. It's pretty subtle. But once I have that in, then I can grab my pure wild violet, and I can add more of that down in the back, and I can layer that up. Same with the underarm here. It's got a lot of shadow on it. So my purple is going to go down there. And the purple and skin mixture is a nice transition color between, like, if you're going to use the pure wild violet to layer in like I am. It's a good transition to that. I want to get the navel real quick. This is looking a little bit pale, so I'm going to get this in so we can see it more like it really is. It's still pretty pale, but the forehead isn't as pale in person as it's looking here. I'm going to have to start bringing in my scale color so that I can get the shadows there. Looking forward to busting through a lot of my book this weekend on the edits. Thank you to everybody who sent me a text file with catches in it. I will be, or a spreadsheet in Zachariah's case. I appreciate it so much because it lets me catch the most I can of those things before we go live. Gonna line the fingers real quick while I'm out here. Remember to always line the fingers. Super, Wendy. now that you're coming. Yay! When I order my ribbons, I'll have East of the Sun and West of the Moon ribbons for ReaperCon. So anybody who has purchased my book, or if you received it as a present and you want it signed, so you either need to buy it at the con, have bought it previously, or have a copy and get it signed, and then you can get the ribbon. I'll have one for East of the Sun and one for West of the Moon. Fear of missing all the things would stop you from releasing it. Many readers won't even catch problems. And even if they catch a few things, this is why, like, I'm pragmatic about it, Pendrake, because there were at least, like, 5 typos that, even with my process last time, didn't get caught. My readers caught them later for me, and I was very grateful. But when you're indie published, you just go in and fix them. Most readers didn't even catch them. And honestly, if it's just a few typos, they're not even going to judge you on it. It's, fear of missing a typo. Nobody's going to judge you on it. I mean, there are typos in traditionally published books. New York puts out books with typos all the time. There may be only 1 or 2, but they're there. And then the nice thing about indie is the minute you find out about them, you just go in and change them. And when you're releasing your first book, not a lot of eyes are on you. So it's like, there's just a few people who've bought it. So it's like, by the time the majority of people will see your book, if the majority of people end up seeing your book, you'll have already fixed everything. Yeah, typos happen, and you don't always catch them. Even when you've got 3 editors and a proofreader and a copy editor and a whatever, you don't catch them all. And you just, and it's, once you understand that everyone understands that and that we don't judge anybody on it, I never judge, like, I have, books by my favorite authors with typos in them. I never judge them about it. So that fear of perfection is what stops you cold, and that's not productive fear. Fear is never productive, honestly, unless there's a tiger running at you and you're productively figuring out how to get the heck out of that situation. But the problem with our brains is that when we stress out about stuff like this, they think it's a tiger. Our brain thinks it's a tiger and not just a silly, typo. Our brain can't tell the difference. Yes, how you know we're not Cylons. Yeah, and did you judge J.K. Rowling when you found it? No, you didn't, right? So the majority of readers are like that. They're just going to be like, oh, a typo. And then they're just going to move on because they're in the story and they don't care. Yeah. So, I mean, it is definitely our responsibility as authors to fix what we can, I think, before we put it up, right? You never put out a book riddled with typos. Always get editing eyes on it, whether it's beta readers or an actual paid editor, or both, as I do. Yes, some of us have brains that see tigers everywhere, and we have to learn to learn how to soothe our brains down and give them the gentle talking to that will help us get away from seeing tigers. Because when our brain runs into a fear that's purely modern and really doesn't have a life and death consequence for us, our brain thinks it's life and death. Because our brain still sees the tiger. It's not a tiger. It's not a tiger, it's just your silly brain thinking that, because you care about the thing, thinking that it's life and death. There's a shoulder blade back here. We want to definitely shade that. So another heavy shadow down here under the arm. There's a little bit of shadow in here too. Yeah. But learning, that's where you need therapy, right? That's where therapy comes in handy. If you honestly have a brain that sees tigers everywhere, then it's time to get some help, I think. It's my personal opinion, but nobody should have to live in fear like that all the time. And a lot of our brains now do, right? A lot of people had a lot of trouble during the pandemic about this because it was life and death, right? For once, your brain saw the tiger and it was really a tiger. Or it could have been. And so, yeah. I used to have kind of a woo-woo attitude toward therapy until I hit my marriage disintegrating and actually went to a counselor and got a lot out of it. So latest Bones 6 Kickstarter update. Nice. Thanks, Quindy, for the heads up. Trying to remember to gotta keep that hip bone out there, and I kind of lost a little bit on this side. Yeah, whatever it takes. Exercise always helped a lot for me too. Honestly, just getting out in the world, it gets me out of my own head. To go out and take a walk or a run or do physical activity that makes my body feel better. Yeah, whatever you have to do. Get a little highlight on that hip bone. We're getting there. Just want to blend in this purple a little bit. I feel like it got a little strong here. And I want to be able to get this hip right here. No, there is a shadow on that, so it isn't really necessary. That shoulder in here, I still haven't gotten any purple on. So I'm just going through and now I'm doing my overall shading. Now that I've tested everything, my colors and everything on the face, I'm pretty sure I have a good feel for it. And that I like my colors, and so I'm starting to bring those up now. All right, let's get these finger highlights done. So we're slowly bringing up everything. You see how we're slowly getting, we're starting up here and we're just like going out. And I need to thin my highlight color a little bit because it's just a tad too thick. I'm getting a little bit of streakiness, which can happen when you've got too thick a paint. And also I added a color with a lot of white in it to this, and so I need to thin it. Yeah, I will need to get out of here probably right at 11. I think that my dog walker is coming at 11:15. So I need to get ready. Get the treats ready for the Kiki and everything. She's going to be so confused when I let somebody else take her for the walk. I'm going to have to do an extra walk myself because I won't get my Kiki walk of the day. Going to mix this up. This thing got a little compressed in the mold, probably Pendrake. Usually when you get really precise shapes, like they didn't necessarily start out wobbly, but often if they seem slightly compressed front to back and you know that the mold line goes this way, you can be assured that it's just a slight front to back compression. I still actually see a little bit of a mold line over here, so I think I'm going to come in with my knife real quick now that you've brought it up. I'll probably paint this anchor like there's lots of corrosion because that's fun. go. But yeah, this just looks like a little bit of front to back distortion to me from the mold press. That's very minor. I probably should drill this out, honestly. Well, yeah, but Christine probably didn't look at, like, historical anchors, right? Or maybe she did and she found one you don't know about. Can't assume historical accuracy. Can't assume that the sculptor even cared about it. I mean, I know I like to look at historical accuracy a lot, but I am a weirdo, so. A little bit of shadow right up next to that. Looking up here. All right, got more purple. There is also the rule of cool, yes. And she is a mermaid. I mean, we're outside of reality as it is. I realized that my life has started shifting toward things that do not give me instant gratification, like the low and slow things. Like CrossFit, definitely low and slow, right? I'm not going to get to my fitness goals with CrossFit anytime soon. It's going to take a lot of work and time for me to build strength to be able to do like my little things I would like to do. And then the writing is the other thing that's really a long and low and slow process. It's like you just put in the effort with the books and marketing, the Facebook or not Facebook marketing, the Amazon ads that I'm doing. They are also a thing that takes time to ramp up and see results. So I seem like I'm embracing all these new things in my life are all like not instant gratification. Like they all take time. And it's kind of good for me, I think, because, you know, we all love the instant gratification. But having multiple things in my life that are going to take time that I have to be patient about, I think is nice because it gets me more in that mindset overall. And I think a patient mindset is going to do well for me with the writing stuff moving forward. Yeah, I'll do the pin vise and then I'll start widening it out. I'll probably, I don't want to Dremel this. I don't feel good about Dremels. I don't have a lot of control with them. I will instead borrow one of David's biggest drill bits, and then I'll probably see if I can do multiple ones. Probably 4-point, maybe one in the middle. That will create enough open space that I can get in there with a knife and files. But yeah, could you do a Dremel if you really want to? Just go real slow with it. Really slow. And remember that plastic tends to clog threads and files. Right, exactly. And it'll be interesting to do it with NMM and corrosion. But yeah, I would be very careful with a Dremel on plastic. It would have to be at very low speed, and it would also, I think, it would be easy for the head to get clogged with threads of plastic. I just don't think it's where I want to be. But yeah, you could use it, I'm sure. If you went slow and you got the right head. David's got a Dremel. I mean, I might be able to use my... I probably couldn't use my nail grinder, which is for taking off mold lines, because when you put an adequate pressure on that, it stops. But what I could do is if I did my pin vise drills, at my 4 points and then the center, once I had a big enough space and I was just taking material off of the very outsides, then I could probably use that nail grinder tool to get in there. So you can see the big difference with this part of the model versus the parts that the highlights haven't hit yet. All right, we're at 11:02, so I'm going to go for a few more minutes because I did start a little late. But I can make it up with time next week, so not too worried about leaving a little early. So remember, I am going to be streaming on my own channel, twitch.tv/paintingbig, tomorrow afternoon around 3:30 USA Central Time. I'll be working on my comic book work. Trying to get the face right. I need to go and study some monster faces from the comic books and the reference stuff that I'm using to develop this style. Because I know I'm probably over blacklining some of this stuff. So there we go. I got the hand coming up now. Hand's got a lot of purple and shadow on it. That's fine. I could probably, if I feel like it's too purple, I can bring in my local color, my base color, and minimize the shadows just a little. And I can bring up, I don't want to bring up that light too much other than on where the light's coming down. Hey David, can you show me how to do this on this model? Yeah, you just gotta be careful not to break anything, Pendrake. But I don't have a lot of tools, and I also have a dislike of power tools because I feel like I lack control. So I'd rather use my pin vise with a big bit and drill it out with a bigger bit and see how much stuff I can remove that way, and then a knife, and then the cleanup files, and then I can use my little hand Dremel, which is a lot easier to use. All right. All right, folks, I think I'm going to call it there. We still have more skin to do, but I also, before I hit all this skin, I do want to start getting the scales blocked in so we can work on that next time. Yeah, foot pedal. Yep. Yeah, that's what Kevin in mold making and Gant and all of our sculptors and mold makers, whenever they use the Dremel, they have the foot pedal because they feel like they can control the speed so much better, and it's so important when you're working with models like this. So everything is so breakable, everything is so small that you have to be cautious about it. But yeah, Reaper has the foot pedal Dremels. Alrighty, folks, thanks for tuning in. We're getting our skin tones are coming right along. We've only put on the first highlight. I haven't even usually I do 5. Just to give you an idea, on a 28mm face, minimal layering is 5, which is usually shadow, midtone, highlight. Here I did 2 shadows, but it's also a bigger face than a standard 28. So I'll definitely still do 3 highlights on this. So I've only put the first highlight down. So yeah, so that'll evolve as we go, but she's definitely looking better. She's looking more like what I wanted her to. The purple is pinking out her skin a little bit. It's going to be very interesting. I'm going to use a purple also in the scales a bit. But yeah, Turgeon, you have a great day too. Quindy assumes Reaperland will be on, but who knows? Alrighty. Let me make sure that I'm not... Okay. Yeah. Alright. You betcha. You guys have a great day, all right? And I will see you I'll see you Monday. Sorry, it's not tomorrow. It's Monday. Monday with Jolie. Yay! We have to start thinking about what we're going to put in our book. I think maybe a trebuchet. I need to miniaturize a trebuchet construction drawing. I think she just wants to hit something with a big rock. She just has that look. Bye-bye, everybody.